To what extent do you feel a responsibility around standing on the shoulders of the Canadian astronauts who have flown before you, the Mark Garneaus, the Roberta Bondars, of course, the global superstar, Colonel Hadfield, and flying that flag on your shoulder?
Mm-hmm. It does feel like a responsibility to represent Canada in space. I think what takes the pressure off is just the extraordinary team of people who support the astronauts. You never feel like you're in this alone. Even the former astronauts are still there supporting us, still showing up when we reach out to them for help, all the way down to everyone at the agency working today. You just never feel like you're in it alone. And even in the operational aspects of it, we have this great technical team, mission control. You're always working through every problem as a team, and so it gives you this sense of not that we'll never fail, but that we will always triumph.
And the sense of history?
So proud of Canada's space history, starting from the point of third country in the world to design and fly a satellite for the benefit of learning, how we would leverage space in the future to communicate across our vast country, to developing Earth observation satellites, to developing Canadarm robotic technology, to flying humans in space, to supporting the International Space Station, and now taking humanity back to the moon. And I see the fact that Artemis II will create this opportunity for Canada to be the second country in the world to send a human into deep space as a tremendous nod at Canada's capacity, innovation, and value on the world stage.
You've been working obviously toward this for years. Take me back to that moment that you were told that you were being assigned to this mission. Walk me through it. How and when did you find out, and what were your thoughts and feelings at the time?
The official announcement was made in April of 2023, but I received a call from the president of the Canadian Space Agency, Lisa Campbell, about a couple weeks prior to the announcement, and just telling me it was time to, officially commit to who was going to fly on the mission, and asking me if I was ready and willing to represent Canada on the Artemis II mission. Of course, big smile on my face, and yeah, absolutely, 100% excited about that. A lot of emotion for me at that moment. Certainly excitement, 100%, but also very humbled, for some of the things that you mentioned, in that there is a lot of responsibility in a mission like this. And then those kind of subsided a little bit, and it turned to pride for the country, pride of everything that thousands of Canadians have done over years to put us in this position where we were invited to send a human on this mission.
And what will your specific role be on the mission?
So my role is mission specialist on the Artemis II mission. It's somewhat ill-defined at this point, because the reality of this test mission is that for launch and landing, the commander and the pilot, Reed and Victor, will be strapped into the commander and pilot seats for launch and landing. But after that, we will remove the seats, and the goal is to make sure we all try everything that we can. We distribute the tasks evenly so that we have 4 perspectives of manually flying the spacecraft. And so we're still working through how we're going to manage, each day of the mission. But the reality is, it's pretty neat. I will train on everything, and I will pretty much get to try a little bit of everything on the mission, which is really cool.
The Artemis II mission is akin to the Apollo 8 mission at Christmas 1968, with the famous reading of Genesis by the crew on Christmas Eve. I watched it live. I was 6. I've been a space nerd forever. There is a powerful emotional and psychological component to this whole endeavor here. What are your thoughts about the emotional side of this whole thing, especially given that Christmas Eve reading Genesis and that perspective?
Mm-hmm. I've definitely given a lot of thought to some of the things that the 4 of us will witness as humans, and that powerful connection that will exist between 4 humans out at the moon and then the humans back on the planet, realizing there are 4 humans that far away, and seeing the images that we're sending back. Of course, humanity's grown accustomed to seeing our planet from space, and we have many more pictures since the Apollo 8 Earthrise photo to remind us of our existence on this blue marble hanging in space. And they are breathtaking, and they are poignant reminders of our reality in the universe. However, I do think there will be a difference when there are 4 humans out there behind the lens of those photos in real time, that we will have our Artemis generation from this program, that young youth around the world will look up during that moment and they will imagine 4 humans out there, and they will be reminded of the importance of humanity's collaboration. This resonates very strongly with me, that it is time for humanity to set aside our differences and to focus on our similarities and what makes us a human race. Very obvious to me that we're at this point in history because we learned how to collaborate as a species. We're a dominant species on the planet because we collaborated in small groups initially to support one another, then villages, then cities, then countries. But we have not learned to collaborate as a globe yet. We have these examples. International Space Station is a beautiful and visible example of international collaboration. Even with parties who aren't getting along on the planet, we are working together in space, and we are reminding humanity we can do it, and there's benefit to doing it, but we have work to do. And so we hope Artemis will be a reminder to folks, hey, let's set big goals. Let's use our energy for good and creating. There's enough for everybody on this planet to live joyfully and in peace.
It's interesting from a philosophical standpoint, when you go up to the ISS, there are no borders up there, and we're working well. Borders are down here on Earth. You mentioned Earthrise.
I'll just respond to that because it's very clear we're not collaborating well on the planet with all of the partners in the International Space Station. But we have been working with the people in the space program for decades. We have strong relationships. We have great mutual respect for the people from all the countries that are involved in the space station and expanding that. And it just drives home the point. We don't have people problems on the planet. We have leadership problems on the planet.
You mentioned Earthrise, shot, of course, by Bill Anders, who just passed away a couple of months ago. You'll be busy with your mission tasks, but given the parameters of the mission, what are you most looking forward to seeing or experiencing just as a guy regarding the milestones of the mission, the phases?
Super excited to see the Earth as soon as I get to space. We'll be relatively close, flying out to about 1,200 nautical miles. That'll be a really neat perspective of planet Earth. But then over the next day, we'll go out to 60,000 kilometers. We'll be able to see the entire sphere of the globe hanging in the vacuum of space. That'll be pretty neat. Then we'll start to focus in on the moon after we do our translunar injection and we start flying to the moon. It's going to slowly start getting bigger in the window as the Earth gets further. We have carved out opportunities where we will intentionally observe, both the receding Earth and the approaching moon. Have the opportunity to photograph it. As we come to our closest point around the moon and fly around the far side, we'll be intentionally photographing all of the moon that we can observe, and as a scientific objective for the geologists. And they're also they've been explaining to us that because during Apollo we landed on the near side of the moon and we wanted lighted conditions, that it was always a full moon or nearly a full moon during Apollo. So the far side of the moon was largely unlit during the Apollo program. So not large portions of it were never seen with a human eye. So depending on our launch date and the phases of the moon, we may see portions of the moon with the human eye that have never been seen before. And they're just very interested if we might pick out something different, something that's significant. We have great imagery of the moon, like every square meter is mapped in high detail from satellites, but they're all in the same spectrum and they're all from the same altitude and line of sight, same angle. And so we'll have just a different bird's eye view. We may see something new that's just never been noticed before. So they're excited about that.
Do you find yourself regarding the moon in a different way from here on Earth if you were to see it tonight? What sort of thoughts do you have about the moon when you look at it now? Is it any different?
Definitely always had a bit of a love affair with the moon. I've always been captured by the idea of going there and walking on the surface. Just from an early age, it really captured my attention. However, when I look at it now, I don't really know how to explain it other than it looks a little further away than it used to. And it just feels like, gosh, that's a long way to go. And I just imagine how big it really is and how far away that journey will be.
You have a family, 3 kids. How do they feel about this whole adventure? What kind of feedback have you had? I'm a skydiver. I've had some feedback myself from my family. But what kind of feedback have you had from your family about this endeavor?
My wife Catherine and my 3 children, Devin, Ashley, and Kaylin, have been excited and supportive about the mission. I think when we went and visited Kennedy Space Center about 6 months ago, and we're going through where they will be for launch, what those days leading up to launch will look like, where we'll have the opportunity to be together before launch, and then what that will. They started to visualize what would that would feel like to be watching the launch, and I do think that made them pause a little bit, thinking about that moment and the emotions that'll be involved in that. But by and large, it's just all been support and excitement. They know this is a lifelong dream for me. I'm super proud of my children. They seem to have been paying attention all these years, and they resonate with the concept that as humans, it's worth taking risks to push the boundaries of innovation. They believe the positive contribution that this can make for humanity. It's not an all singing, all dancing, fix everything problem, but it is a contribution in the positive category for humanity, and they seem to really get that. And they're leaning into the demands on them and the sacrifices that they've already made, but also the ones that they could be asked to make for this.
What have you found to be the most rewarding aspect of the training so far?
By far, it's just constantly traveling around and seeing the people who are contributing, and they're fired up. They're excited. They love what they're working on. They think they're doing something positive for humanity. And it is easy to say, but almost impossible to convey how many people are working to make this happen and the crazy, innovative things that they are doing to push humanity into this capability. It's super impressive. It's not just in one country, it is around the world, and it is really neat to see people doing this.
There are a couple of questions I thought about asking, but then I wondered if it might run up against superstition of some kind, maybe just my own superstition. Are you superstitious at all about this work, and do you have any habits around that? You've got athletes, sometimes they'll put on their left sock first, things like that. Have you got any thoughts around that, any habits?
I've never been very superstitious, but I do subscribe to, we bring an energy to everything we do. For me, it's not, I think what's in the superstitions is just your belief on what the energy that you are able to focus on what you're doing and keeping things positive, and maybe little habits like that can help people bring that positive energy. For me, it is more of a mindset of I truly believe with the help of the team that we can co-create solutions that will get us to where we need to be, and I just try to bring that energy to the task every day.
So no rabbit's foot on the mission?
No.
With you?
If there is, that's fine too. But I'm not bringing one.
Have you given any thought about personal item or personal items that you will take along, and would you care to share? That might be private.
Sure. The only one that I've committed to is my wife and I gifted each of them, the kids and her, a pendant. It's a moon with our birthstones in it for the 5 of us. And if you saw my kids today, they would probably be wearing it. And when it's time, I'll pack them up. I'll take them with me on the journey.
Wow. And just one more here. You're a farm kid from Southern Ontario who fell in love with space at an early age, as you explained. What do you think that farm kid from Southern Ontario would think of all of this?
I think I was fortunate that I grew up with a really supportive family and school system, and I was taught that these things were possible, or I was encouraged. I think I was probably a little naive about it all. So that young Canadian might not be so surprised. I think I learned over the years ahead that just how challenging it was, and how I'd have to have both the skill sets, but I'd also have to be lucky. And the truth is in this statement, if we needed 1,000 astronauts, we could find them in Canada, but we've only hired 4 in the last 15 years. And so you have to be a bit lucky. You got to have the skills, but you also have to get lucky. So I understand that now. but I didn't understand that way back then. But I was authentically inspired by the ideas of pushing the boundaries and exploring space, and I think that young Canadian would be excited that I'm going.